we're bringing it back around to the heels cube, and we're going to talk about positioning during deadlifting. Something that we see all of the time when people are deadlifting. Very commonly, people's back hurt when they're deadlifting, or they round their back, or they don't feel their hamstrings and their glutes when they're deadlifting, is because they're putting the weight in their heels like they're being told to, and they're not using that tripod foot like we spoke about in an earlier video. The problem with that, right, as we're here, because the deadlift is a hip hinge, that means that your hips should be going back and then your hips should be coming forward. Now, that might seem self-explanatory. You might think, yeah, but it's really easy to hit this position, right? One of two ways. I can bring my head down, arm looks similar, or I can bring my butt back, and it looks similar. But notice, here my butt doesn't move too much, my butt moves a lot. Even in my arm, this takes very different muscles to do this, and it's a very similar looking position. You know, if I'm here and I bring my butt way back, by the time I get down to my knees, I should have tension in my hamstrings, right? And my feet are flat. I'm not rocking back onto my heels, my toes coming off at all. Versus if I do this, I can come down here and I don't have any tension in my hamstrings. So we stand up, drive the butt back, keep the knees not locked out but straight until you get past that bending point in the knees. Right here, there's a ton of tension. And then bend the knees while still driving that butt back. Oh, and it's really uncomfortable, right? Because there's a lot of tension. Now, it's human nature here to get away from that tension because humans like to conserve energy. We're built to conserve energy. So the body naturally takes the path of least resistance, which is not here because that's uncomfortable and it takes a lot of effort. So what do? We let our knees come forward, right? Just like this, just a little bit. But now, instead of having tension here, I feel all kinds of pressure in my quads and I don't feel anything happening in my hamstrings. And then guess what? When we stand up here with our hamstrings loaded, you think actively about driving your heels down and think actively, since it's a hip hinge, about bringing your hips in and squeezing the butt. Then people feel their butt in a way they never have. They feel their hamstrings. Versus when we come down here and we let our knees come forward, what we see is people stand up, and this starts to happen. And that ugly stuff where now you're using your quads and your back a lot, and that's not the point. The back's supposed to be isometric, supposed to be a posterior chain exercise. That's totally off topic. I wanted to talk about what goes on at the foot. So when you're doing this and you're rocking and you're bringing your hips back, if you don't let your head go forward at the same rate to counterbalance you, then you're going to fall backwards, right? So watch my feet. As I start to come here, if I don't lean forward enough, I start to do one of these, right? My toes come up, ball of foot comes up, and then what happens? I bend my knees to regain that position, because if I keep going, I'm going to fall over backwards, right? So especially if I have a barbell in my hand, naturally, I'm going to, boop, drop my knees forward. As soon as I start doing this, knees come forward. What did we just do? We put ourselves in that same fault that we were talking about. Now my quads are on, my hamstrings are off, and I'm going to come down, and it's going to be a squat, not a deadlift. So when I go stand up, because of the lever arms, I'm going to wind up in a really crappy position. So when you're driving your butt back, let the chest and head come down to keep that tripod foot, right? If you feel yourself rocking back, stop, pretend like someone's pulling your t-shirt straight forward, rock yourself flat-footed, and then continue on, all right? So try deadlift. Try a couple of them. See what happens. Stop being that guy that's doing a bunch of deadlifts and not feeling your glutes and your hamstrings. If you have a PVC pipe in your hand and you do this, and you have a ton of tension and it's uncomfortable, and you get in the middle of a workout and you don't have that same tension every single rep, I don't care if it's a strength workout or a Metcon, whatever it is, then you're wrong, right? Stop doing that. Start moving with quality, guys. Move with quality. You'll get stronger, you'll get faster, you'll stay healthier, and you'll be able to fitness a lot longer.